So one of the problems that we are facing, that we always face when we open this cabinet, is that we need to access something and this is on the way. As you can see, we have bolts, so we always have to do this. And if we need to access the trays here, it's actually very challenging too. You have to kind of fiddle them too much, so it's very inconvenient. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take advantage of what my dad showed me when I was little. He was a carpenter and he showed me how to do all these things. So what we are going to do, we're going to remove this. So some people think that this is supporting the kitchen, but that's not true. This is just a style that they used to do. The support is coming from the edges of the cabinet, so this is actually not supporting the weight here. So basically you can then cut this here, and as you can see, when you close the doors, you need to have it, because if not there will be a gap. So what we are going to do, you can decide to attach this to either door. So if you are right-handed, you are normally going to open this door first. So if that's the case, you will attach this piece to the left door. If you are left-handed, you will open this one first, and then this one can be attached to this one. If you always open one side more than the other, just think about that and then make it convenient. How do we cut this? That's where my tools come in place. So what I'm going to do, there are different ways to do this, okay? This is just one of them. Some people use like a circular saw, some people use other tools. In my case, I have done it a lot of times. I used to install glide outs before, so I'm very familiar with doing this. The way I did it is, I take this tool, I put it here, and then I take my pencil and I make a straight line. So I make sure that this is straight. I make a line here and then I make a line there. Once you have the straight line, I use this kind of saw. It's basically, you can find it in the hardware store. You just attach it here. It has two edges. I always use the fine one because this is the finest cut. And basically, you start cutting. This saw gives you a lot of control. You can go as low as you want. And because I have the line, as you can see, I have a lot of control. I can follow the line perfectly. And the cut that I'm making is actually really clean. You don't really see a lot of chips in here. So I'm gonna finish it. So that's one cut. I forgot to say that normally the one on the top is one piece, but this one, most of the times, if you look in the back, there are two screws screwing this piece into this one. I don't know if you can see it. Like, there are two screws in here, do you see? 1 and 2. So I'm going to take those screws off and that will release this piece. And a trick that you can use an X-Acto knife and you can make a little cut on the joint, and that will allow for the paint to don't chip as much. So now we have cut this piece. So I open this door, and what I have done is I made a little line in here, and I made a little line on the bottom. That way, when I open this door, I will know this piece how much needs to come outside. And then what I have done, as you can see, this is one mark, and this is the other mark. And then with this tool, I made a line at the bottom, and I'm going to cut about 1 millimeter off. Why? Because this piece right now, it's too tight, and then when I open and close the door, it's going to probably touch a little bit. So by me cutting a little bit here, it's going to give me a little bit of room to center this piece, and then it will have enough space to come in and out easily. How do you cut this? With a circular saw. That's the tool I have, and basically I will just cut it like this. If you don't have one of these, you could use a jigsaw. It will do the same thing. If you don't have any of these things, you can always use like a handsaw. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but the circular saw is the perfect tool for this. Of course, if you have something bigger like a table saw, that's even better. But in this case, I only have access to this one. So I'm just gonna cut it really quick. Always use protection, and then this cut is not perfect, but it's good enough. So we cut that, and now as you can see, there is a little bit of room, so that's good. So now basically we need to screw this piece into the door. As you can see, there is not a lot of space to have a screw going straight. So this is going to be probably the trickiest part of this process. You have to make a hole that goes on an angle, but the hole needs to come out like here. So you don't have a lot of room to play with. But you basically, what you wanna, the end result is going to be, you are gonna have a hole that goes in diagonal like this, and it's going to screw this piece into the door. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, I have a drill bit, and I want to make the hole, it needs to look something like this. Ideally, that's how it has to look like. So you want the hole to come out really at the edge here. But if I were to make a straight hole like this, what's gonna happen is that the screw is going to just crack the boot, and it's not going to be strong enough. If you do it on an angle like this, you have more surface to play with, and then the boot won't crack. Okay, so this is the end result. This is what you want. I made the hole here, and then it goes on an angle, and it comes out just, so basically when you close the door, you don't want to see the screw. So that's the way that it's gonna work. When I put the screw on an angle, that's gonna allow this to be attached. We're gonna do 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we have the holes already. Now we are ready to attach this to the door. How do we do that? First, we need to find the right screw. How do you find the right screw? If you present this here, you want to use a screw that is long enough to go into the door, but not too long that it's gonna come out here. So in this case, I'm gonna use this size screw. I have a screw case here, and it has different sizes of screws. So I normally just present it here, and then when I made the hole, the drill bit that I used is a regular drill bit, but it has this case here. Basically what it does, it makes a hole big enough for the screw to go in, and then it becomes flush with the boot. So taking that in account, when we present this here, the screw is going to go in the boot a little bit. So as you can see, that screw is gonna be the perfect length. It's gonna go inside, but not too much. There is a trick here. So what I do, I put the screw through the boot, and I leave a little tip sticking out. The one in the middle, I present it, but the tip doesn't come out. And the one here, I'm just gonna put it in. And again, I just want a little tip coming out. Why do I do that? Again, there are different ways to do this, but what I do here is I present this, I close the door, and then what I do, I press. I bring it with me, and now the screw is in place. Now I can screw it. I can make a little mark here, and now as you can see, I know where the screw goes. Now you can do Depending on what kind of wood you are dealing with, sometimes you need to pre-drill a little hole because the screw can crack the wood. In this case, this is not solid wood, this is melamine. With the melamine, sometimes it's okay if you just go straight. If you are not sure, I always recommend to pre-drill a little bit. How do you pre-drill? Basically, you need to find a drill bit that is, so this is the screw. You want to find a drill bit that is not thicker than the screw. You wanna to be a little bit smaller, because that way the screw will go in, it will still grab well, but it's not going to make the wood, like crack the wood when it goes in. So in this case, I'm going to pre-drill a little hole first. And remember that the hole needs to be a little bit on an angle, it's not straight. So I'm going to make a little hole here. Just a little bit is good. And if the door has stoppers, you need to remove them. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is that you are going to present this here, and that's going to be on the way. Present the tip into the hole there, and I can screw it. See, it didn't come out, and now this part is attached. Now let's do the bottom part. Because I made a line, and as you see, the screw is coming out a little bit too. I put the screw just a little bit out of the wood. What I'm doing here is I'm facing the line that I made with the door, and when I have it, so you see the line that I made here, I just present it with the edge of the door, and when I have it, I press with my hand, and that's making a little hole. With this one, I'm not going to pre-drill because I'm pretty sure that this door will be fine. You can go slowly, and if you are listening the wood cracking a lot, stop and pre-drill. Again, if you don't know what kind of wood it is, I always recommend to pre-drill. See, right now this is already strong enough, it's well finished, and it closes really well, it's not touching. So that's awesome. You can see a little bit of the line here and here, but that's fine. So the third screw, I just put it in case for extra strength. You really don't need it, but because I have it, I'm gonna just screw it in. Perfect. So now you have your style removal finished, and now you can paint this, and you could paint this and fill up the holes. That's personal choice. Good. So this little difference makes a huge improvement in the kitchen. As you can see, I open the door, and when I open this one, everything comes out, and now everything is really accessible. So I have access to put my balls in, I can reach everything. And if you're planning on having glide outs, you need to do this, because if you don't, you can't have glide outs unless you have glide outs on both sides. That's another option. But in this case, this is going to make our lives way easier. I hope you like this video. Please comment below if you liked it and if you are doing it, and hopefully if this is causing you frustration in your kitchen, maybe you can get it done and then you can benefit from it. Thank you for watching.